Hey, rock stars, welcome to another No Bullshit podcast for contractors. Have you ever asked yourself, how do I make my team better, especially my skilled trades guys? And actually, how do I attract more skilled tradespeople to my company? We're going to be talking with Jordan today from MT Copeland. He helps, contractors train their employees for, better skill set, up in their game, up in their business, up in their efficiencies. That's what we're going to be talking about today. So take your business to the next level, differentiate yourself, and this is one of the great ways to do that. And that's what we're going to be talking about in another No Bullshit podcast for contractors. I'll see you on the flip side. Until right now, this very moment, contractors have always been on their own, not as tradespeople, but being alone and knowing how to take their business to the next level. They call us working class. They call us blue collar. They say that we don't have the smarts to become the business owner that we're meant to be. That is such bullshit. You have the ability. You're more than any of that. The question really is, where do you get the insights that you need specific to contracting to systemize your business so you can get your profits to pay for your freedom? I'm Andrew Houston. I'm going to show you how to make more profits, how to get more control, how to get more freedom in the simplest, quickest way possible without any of that bullshit. Welcome to the No Bullshit podcast for contractors. Listen up, level up, and if you learn something, like the video, subscribe to the channel, change your business, change your life. Hey, rock stars, Andrew Houston here with another No Bullshit podcast for contractors. We are going to be talking about a really important topic, which is about how do you up your skills as a tradesperson. And I've got Jordan here with me. Welcome, Jordan. How's it going, bro?
Going great. How are you doing, Andrew?
I'm doing amazing, man. Where are you located right now?
I'm in Austin, Texas.
Nice. I think I could tell a little bit of that accent I hear. Well, you're probably hearing an accent on my end, but anyways.
Yeah, you sound all Canadian up there.
All Canadian, eh? So tell us a little bit. Let's get right into this, okay? Everybody listening in, if you're at the right place, if you're a contractor and you want to help, improve your business, you want to improve your team. In today's podcast, you want to improve your team's skill set and get them to be the best performers that they can. If that's not of interest to you, honestly, no bullshit, jump off the podcast. You're at the wrong place. Don't waste your fucking time. But if this does resonate with you and you want to improve your contracting business, you're at the right place. Okay. Right place, right time. So Jordan, tell us a little bit about, before we get into, what you guys actually provide and what MT Copeland does. Tell us a little bit about your background, like what got you into construction business.
Yeah. So I grew up on a farm, putting stuff together, a lot of welding, a lot of building stuff and fixing stuff to keep things going. So I've always been very hands-on, but I also did well in school. And so I really liked doing stuff in school. And so college made sense for me.
Right.
And I went through school and I got out on the backside of the materials joining engineering degree. So it's a welding engineering degree, although we do stuff with composites and polymers as well.
Right.
And that got me into oil and gas, where I did a lot with robotics and really enjoyed that, building components for offshore oil and gas. And my wife and I are both entrepreneurial. We like doing our own thing, and we thought about doing our own thing in manufacturing, but you just spend so much money so quickly in manufacturing, and at that point you'd have to be bringing in investors. And when you bring in investors, is it really your company or is it their company? So a whole lot of stuff. And in the meantime, we had built several of our own homes. We had remodeled several homes before that. And we're like, well, this is what we like doing. This is what we spend our weekends doing. We really like the building side and like the designing side. So why don't we just do our own thing? So we started our own design build company about 5 years ago. Smith House Company. And about 2 years ago, I got contacted by some people who were looking at starting an online training of the trades company. And they needed an instructor and they needed somebody to help them with the education side of it, like how to build the curriculums and what's important to contractors. So I started with Copeland about 2 years ago, and as just an instructor and advisor. And then as we've grown, I'm now the head of education over at Copeland. So still build houses on the side. It's sort of a 2/3, 1/3 split. I keep my hands in about 2 big multi-million-dollar builds a year just to do it and to stay relevant. But then spend a lot of my time on educating the next generation and even current generation of tradespeople.
Excellent, man. So tell us about some of the struggles that you've seen contractors have in this space regarding MT Copeland, and why did MT Copeland come about to address some of these challenges?
Yeah, so just in my own experience as a general contractor, I'm one removed from the pain point. But I saw all the time talking to my paint contractor, Giovanni. I talked to Giovanni and I'm like, hey, you're 4 weeks out from even showing up to the job. Is there any way we can pull that forward? And he's like, man, I don't have the guys. I can't do it. Or you would have the opposite of like, yeah, we'll get somebody, and then they bring somebody in and you're used to A+ quality work with the sub, and all of a sudden for some reason it's like a C-, and you're like, what happened? Like, well, we had to bring in this other crew that didn't really know what they do. So there's just a struggle of finding people who know what they're doing and how to do it. And it's a struggle for a business owner to be able to train that employee up to the quality that they need. Just because when you're running a business, I mean, this is what y'all do for a living. You teach people how to run a business, and that is hard. Just that is very, very difficult. And a lot of these guys are, Giovanni is the best painter I know. He's learning how to run a business, but transitioning and trying to build people up to replace what he was doing is incredibly difficult. So what we want to do is give people the tools to train the people that will eventually replace them in that hands-on portion so that they can go and run their business. We also see that it's not going to be a unilateral thing, like it's hands-on, right? So we're not pretending like you watch this video and you're going to be the best painter ever. No, but you watch the video and you'll at least understand how, why, and what's really important. And then when you show up to the job site, you're 50% there into being able to start using your hands and doing a good job.
Why do you think, I totally am in line with you as far as some of these major challenges. I mean, just finding people is a challenge, and then finding people that have the right skill set is a major challenge. And then part of the reason you hired somebody is because you're so busy, you don't have the time to do it yourself, because otherwise, if you're a contractor, the whole strategy of putting in more and more and more time, you become the greatest, holdback from the growth of the business, right? You can only put in so much time. So you go and you hire somebody, but then now you got to take time to train them. And then it's like a catch-22, So basically what you guys do is you leapfrog weeks, if not months, in some cases, maybe years of just getting people to have the skill set, the education, pre-done videos, pre-done training and things of that nature. So, what do you think is the biggest holdback with the contractor that doesn't leverage this type of technology?
Well, you just explained it. I mean, if you don't train people to do the work that you need done, you are expecting the industry to be training the people for you. And maybe 50 years ago, I wasn't around, but maybe 50 years ago, that was the case. Maybe you could just say, I need to hire a carpenter, and 5 carpenters would show up and they all know what they need to know. And then you're just picking out the one that fits your culture best. That's no longer the case. We are finding that construction is a great career opportunity. I mean, it just is. It's a great way to, especially if you like working with your hands and you have a goal to own your own business. It's one of the easiest ways to get into business ownership and to grow you as an individual. One of the challenges is getting started, showing up on a job site, not knowing anything, is nearly, like you said, if you're the business owner, it's easier for you just to do it yourself the first time. It's like, I'll just do it. I don't want to deal with that. I just do it. I don't want to deal with that. I don't have time to answer all these questions. Another challenge that we see is maybe you've got a foreman and you're putting apprentices underneath them. And there's a couple of challenges there too. Maybe they do want to teach, but they just don't know how, the foreman, or worse, and I've seen this a lot, they feel like their job is threatened if they're teaching the new guy how to do what they're doing. So the way that we want to come in and help these contractors is by giving them the tools to train the best way, the right way, and off of the job site. So these chapters are broken down into these courses. Usually they run between 2 and, our deck building course is 6.5 hours long. Of this is from code to framing, to the whole thing. I mean, the whole thing. And you could sit down and watch that whole 6 hours in one setting. I don't recommend it. What I recommend doing is 15 minutes before lunch, you sit down and you watch it on your phone. You sit down and you watch 15 minutes, that 15-minute chapter, and that gets you that much further. And you do that over the course of several weeks or a month. And now you've ingested 6 hours worth of Mike Gerton teaching you this is how you build decks. And it really hasn't cost the company that much in productivity, because it's not like you're pulling somebody out for a day or 2 days to go to some conference somewhere. Mm-hmm. It hasn't cost the employee that much because they're not having to drive to a trade school at night and take time away from their family. They're able to ingest this into bite-sized chunks. And then the employer can track that progress, both seeing how far they've progressed as well as doing, there are not tests, but
like certificates. You have any of that?
Yeah, exactly. So right. you're able to do the assessments. That's the word I'm looking for.
Assessments.
You're able to take assessments as you go through, and then the employer is able to watch this and say, okay, he's taken this many, he's progressed this far through the course, and he's getting it because he's taken these assessments along the way.
Cool, man. Now, when you look at this from a contractor that currently has employees, this totally makes sense. I mean, think about how many hours that a contractor would have to take to create such a video with the right structure, with the right training, like you guys have a whole system for this, right? You've systematized the training. You've broken it out into the right modules. Anybody listening in, any of you contractors listening in, you should think about, how much time would it take you and the effort and energy and knowledge to be able to go and create some of these videos where you can just get your employees to watch these videos for a minimal fee. Like I looked at some of your trainings, like $50, $150. I mean, that's nothing for the amount. And even if you just look at it from the perspective of increasing somebody's current skill set, even if it's good, even by 10 or 20%, oh my God. I mean, at the rate that people are billing out today in the hundreds of dollars, it's almost impossible for it not to be an investment, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And as far as the track goes, we've got this as flexible as we know how to make it. It can be a la carte, so you can just pick the course and purchase the course, right? And that is that employee's course for the rest of their life. It's like buying a book, right? So that's $75. There's also bundles where it's like Carpenter 1. Here are the courses that we have heard from industry makes sense in this area. So Carpenter 1, it bundles all the courses and there's a slight discount, or there's just a full subscription base. You pay X amount of dollars per employee per year, and they have access to the full range of courses.
So again, you're addressing everybody's needs, which is
exactly
cool. Now, you look at, we talked about one of the greatest pain points being finding and attracting top talent. I mean, how does this, I can put it in my own words, but I want to hear it from the master himself. Like, how does this increase your ability to attract top talent?
Well, everybody wants to better themselves. That's one of the big takeaways from. Well,
at least the prospective employees that you want working for you. If somebody doesn't, then you probably don't want them working for you.
Exactly. So I like that. Every top talent person wants to continue improving and bettering themselves. So having a tool in your toolbox where you can say, look, I'm going to pay you competitively. We're going to be as good of a place to work as anybody out there. Plus, we're going to invest in making you a better tradesperson. You sometimes get this pushback of like, man, if we train our people, they might go off and leave us and do something else. Mm. But my response is like, well, what if you don't train them? Like, do you want to be the company who's known for we have the worst trained employees in the
that stay with us for life?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've never lost one of our people who don't know what they're doing.
Exactly. Yeah, you got to love that. No, but seriously, look at everybody listening in. All we focus in on at Pro for Contractors is contractors. Okay. MT Copeland, is focusing on training those skilled tradespeople that are working for you. And the reality of the situation is that it is an epidemic. There's a massive shortage. I hate to tell it all the listeners, but it's going to get fucking way worse. Okay. This is going to be one of the greatest exodus in the next 5 to 10 years. Let's just say the next 5 years of just based upon age. And, I'm going to, I'm turning 52 this year. Like you think about it, in the next 5 to 10 years, most contractors being tradespeople, or even owners, but let's just talk about the workforce. They're going to be retiring. I mean, that's just the retirement side of it. Okay. Then you've got these millennials and Gen X and all the rest of these ones that are coming in. Whatever Gen, the alphabet, right? Whatever the fucking alphabet.
We're at Z. I don't know what comes out.
I don't know, man. Fucking who knows? It's going to start back at A again. Who knows? But the point is that people in today's world that are available, that are working for your competition, you got to ask yourself what, for the most part, where are you going to find your tradespeople? You're going to find them based upon them being at your competitors. I'm just going to tell you straight up. So in order for you to be, that attractive employer, you've got to do things differently. Okay. And training is one of the things that the new generations want. They want to be trained. Okay. They don't want to be thrown to the wolves. And I hate to tell you, they will not put up with that bullshit of like, hey man, you just figure it out, fucking suck it up. Like, okay, those days are done. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
well, you hit on a good point with the younger generation. We're talking to a large tech company that also sells things, a lot of things.
Yeah.
And they're looking at a way of training their employees who aren't in the trade. So this is not a trade company. This is a fulfillment company, right? They sell stuff online. They're looking at our programs to train their employees on how to be painters and how to be carpenters and how to be not trying to retain them for long term, because they're like, look, we offer this employment and this is all you can do here in this warehouse. We want motivated people to be coming into this warehouse, knowing that if they're highly motivated, they're not going to stay here, right? We don't care if they don't stay here. We want to bring them in the door, let them do their work for this few years. How can we attract them? And one of the ways that they can attract them is by offering education.
That's smart.
So they're looking at ways of educating a workforce that will eventually leave them, but it just helps them get the highly motivated people in their door to do a very simple task for a few years while they better themselves, and they can go do bigger and better things. And trades, they see the trades as one of those bigger and better things.
That's good, man. That's good. So, this is the No Bullshit podcast, and this is not on the list of one of the things, but I'm a no bullshit type of guy. So I'm going to ask you a question that might be easy for you. It might be challenging for you. All right. But I got to ask it because as a tradesperson, okay, and with, tradies listening in on this podcast, the question is not so much who are you to have the skill set, like as far as these trainers, but like what skill set do these trainers have to be at the right level and to even be able to be qualified to be doing some of these trainings? Okay, and I know that wasn't on the list, but man, I got to ask it because
that's a great question. So we have a hard and fast rule at MT Copeland. We do not hire actors. And then a soft rule is we prefer not to hire professional trainers. We don't always do that. I can't think of one that on the commercial side, we have had some professors, some like PhD professors that teach this. So those are the closest that we've got to like professional trainers. On the residential side, all of our instructors are people in the field doing this as a job every single day. Most of them are business owners as well. But they're, Lydia with our drywall. She is out there doing drywall day in and day out. And
these are actually skilled tradespeople, qualified tradespeople that have done it, are doing it, right? And so they're not just some. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's one of the benefits of the social media age. As much stuff that is annoying about it, one of the benefits is we're able, as a training company, we're able to see two things in instructors. Number one, are you really, really good at what you do? And people who are really, really good at what they do and are on social media are posting that, right? So we can sort of vet that they know what they're doing. And then two, is your social media page to drum up more business primarily? Which there's nothing wrong with that. That's great. That's a great use of social media. Is it to take selfies of yourself? Maybe that's not all that great. Or third, do you try to instruct people on how you're doing it and why you're doing it? Which I feel like is one of the best ways to get homeowners to appreciate and understand and trust what you do is to teach.
Well, you become the authority, right?
Exactly. So by perusing Instagram and a lot of these relationships that we've built through the years with these instructors, we know that they're great at what they do and they're great at instructing. I mean, Tyler Grace teaches a painting course, and as he's literally rolling a 12-foot wall. And I'm like, okay, I don't know how we're going to get this 12, like fast forwarding, he talks the whole time. And he's like talking about, he's like, you hear how the paint's releasing from the roller. He's like, this, when it has this much paint, it's going to slide on the wall and it's going to sound like this. He's like, when it's releasing from the roller like this, it's perfect. When it's like this, it's too dry. And you see the texture change on the paint. It's like,
that's cool.
The guy just talked for 30 minutes about painting a wall and he never repeated himself. It's incredible when you get that level of expertise to where they really, and then of course our cameras, we're using very expensive high-end cameras.
4K cameras.
Yeah. I mean, we're right in on the action, three or four different angles all at once. So the instructor doesn't have to repeat themselves, right? They don't have to say, if you come in here and look, it's like whatever they're pointing at, there's a camera that's got their fingernail is the size of the screen whenever they're talking about whatever. So we really pride ourselves in the visuals as well.
That's great, man. Very unique service that you guys are providing that's incredibly needed, especially in today's world. And, as we start wrapping this up, I want to share a piece of advice that you'd have in this space, but is there certain trades that you're more inclined to than others? You mentioned carpentry, you mentioned painting, drywall. What are some of the other trades that that our listeners should be aware of?
Yeah. So those that you mentioned, we have a cabinetry course, several cabinetry courses from basics all the way through how to build shaker cabinet. We're starting our electrical courses, so apprentice level electricians. We've got plumbing courses. We've got a lot of soft skill courses, how subcontractors can write contracts so that the general contractor doesn't screw them. Right. How to read contracts. A lot of this stuff that you just haven't been exposed to when you're doing the work. Yeah. And then when you start owning your own subcontracting company, you need to know how to file a lien. Yeah. So we really run the spectrum. And then we're also doesn't really apply to your audience, I wouldn't imagine, but we're also going into industrial as well. So welding, pipe fitting, and rigging.
Oh yeah, no, our target audience is industrial, commercial, residential, you name it.
Yeah. So we're just breaking into that market, but our goal is to be the training authority for all things trades, whatever you can conjure up in a tradesperson.
Good, man. That's great. What would be a piece of advice that you would give, last piece of advice you'd give to a listener? So you got all these contractors listening in. They're like, man, that sounds like a good idea, and they still have a bit of a but, in their mindset. What would be some advice that you'd be giving them?
I would say that as a general rule, your company's only as strong as your weakest member, right? So you're not going to be able to grow to that next level, take on that next job, hit the next level of clientele that you're wanting to go to if your weakest member just doesn't know what's going on. One of the fastest ways to improve that, other than the hiring the magical people that I don't believe exist, right? I think there's great people, and I think everybody has weaknesses. It's much easier to hire for attitude and train for skill than just to have a revolving door trying to find that magical person.
I would totally agree with that. So, look, for all the listeners, team, you've got to do things in your business that are going to leapfrog you. And what do I mean by that? Whether it's getting processes and systems on the profit for contractor side, whether it's from MT Copeland and Jordan and his team, where they're actually having things done for you. I mean, I think the way of the world to accelerate your business is to get things that are already done, and somewhat cheat the process, but in an ethical way. And that's what you guys do. I mean, the training your people is going to retain them. Being able to have some sort of program for people to come into is going to attract them. I mean, those two things alone. And you think about from a financial perspective on either one of those fronts. Okay. If your teams, you got a 10-person team and you can increase their efficiency by just 10%. And it's going to be way more with these trainings. Guys, you just gained an extra body. Like you just, without actually having to hire somebody. So people will say to me, but Andrew, I got to hire somebody. I'm like, how many people you got? Oh, we got like 20 people. I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. So what would be the efficiency of your guys? And they're like, what do you mean? Well, are they like 80%, 70%? And a lot of them would be like, some of them are freaking 60. Some of them are like 70. Some of them are like, it's all over the map. I'm like, dude, if we just increase your efficiency by 10 or 20%, we're gaining like 1, 2, 3 freaking people, and we didn't even have to hire anybody. And your billable hours go up, and your efficiency, and your profitability, and your cash flow, and your capacity. And they're like, holy shit. So Jordan, this is what you guys do. Been awesome having you on this call. I know we're going to be sending a lot of people your way from the Profit for Contractors Champion CO group. And guys, reach out. How do people reach out to you, Jordan?
Yeah, so our website is mtcopeland.com. My email is jordan.smith@mtcopeland.com. Shoot me an email with any questions and we'll get you connected to the right people. Thanks so much, Andrew, for having us on. Really good time.
Absolutely. And I'll see you maybe back here again, and we'll maybe talk about some other aspects of the value that your products and services can bring. So everybody else, we'll see you on the next No Bullshit podcast for contractors. No bullshit. We'll see you on the flip side. Ciao. Hey, rock stars. Thank you for watching the No Bullshit podcast for contractors. If you enjoyed this episode, hit the subscribe button. And if you're serious about growing and need help, click on the link below. Myself and my team would love to help and give you the necessary tools so you can take your contracting business to the next level. And remember, dominate, delegate, and deliver.